When you come to know that you are playing a part in a drama, which you yourself have projected, you are free to play your part without fear, without anxiety, and without resistance. Alan Watts. We may judge ourselves for the bad daily habits that we hold in our lives, as we seem to think it is these very problems that are holding us back. The truth is, we must think of these as though they are the tight strings of a bow and arrow. Life pulls us back, so when it inevitably releases, you will take flight in whatever direction you choose. This means our capacity to destroy ourselves is key to our awakening, and our capacity to destroy one another is key to our capacity to heal one another. It is not in your comfort zone that you discover the most about yourself. It is through the hardship of fire that you learn what you are truly made of. Overcoming negative daily habits is a part of learning to walk through the fire. Today, we will be taking a look at some of the daily habits that damage your flow of life according to Alan Watts. But keep in mind that these daily habits hold essential keys to areas of your life that you need to improve. So, dear seekers of knowledge and truth, let's jump into the mind of Alan Watts and come out on the other side, knowing ourselves just a little bit better. Alan Watts said that to go out of your mind at least once a day is tremendously important. By going out of your mind, you come to your senses. So, in essence, the first damaging habit that we are going to look at today is the habit of excessive thinking. Escaping from the chaos of your thoughts is what Watts meant by saying we must go out of our minds to come to our senses. Once you escape the trap of your mind, the fog will begin to clear, and a true path will become ever more present to you. Recognize that you're not the ego. You're not the body. You're not the mind. You're the witness, the observer, the seer. If you want to know more about accepting your thoughts and becoming the master of your mind, take a look at our previous video on learning to control your thoughts with the help of Alan Watts. Once your mind is in a calmer place, you will begin to experience a sense of contentment and acceptance for the things that you cannot control. You cannot resist change that is outside of your control. And this is the next daily habit that can damage your flow of life. Resisting change goes hand in hand with rigidity of the mind. Yet the world is ever-changing. So how can you have a rigid mind in an ever-changing world? Watts said it best. The ego tries to resist change and tries to keep everything the same. But the universe is constantly changing. So the ego is constantly fighting a losing battle. In essence, what you resist persists. One of the few constants in life is change, so you have to be adaptable. Think of life as a bird in your hand. If you try to cling to it, the bird becomes uncomfortable and wants to fly away. Loosen your grip on life, and it will simply sit in your palm, eventually soaring to new heights you never knew were possible. Uncertainty is a fact of life that we need to accept, so learn to flow with the uncertainty. The winding river always leads to an ocean, no matter how turbulent it may become. In this constant swirl of change, you may discover some emotions that are pleasurable and others that are hard to bear. And this leads us to the next daily habit that one must be aware of: chasing feelings. On the path to a more enlightened self, you will discover things you have never felt before. Some of these are pleasurable beyond measure, but we cannot attach to fleeting emotions. Desire, in and of itself, is paradoxical in nature. The pursuit of pleasure can only lead to suffering. Instead, learn to practice non-attachment. Alan Watts has a way of summing these ideas up in beautiful ways. He said that, the more you try to control your mind, the more uncontrollable it becomes. The more you seek for pleasure, the less pleasure you find. Practicing mindfulness and acceptance will enable you to avoid suffering caused from trying to hold on to these gratifying emotions. Remember, pain is inevitable, but suffering is a choice. You will find that when you choose a harder path in life, you become stronger, more resilient, and a beacon of light in the darkness. There is always a calm eye in the storm of the hurricane. And throughout this hurricane of life, do you have faith in yourself? Or do you hold beliefs that you wait for the world to acknowledge? This is the next habit we are going to focus on. Faith versus belief. Alan Watts said that faith is an openness to the truth. Whatever it may turn out to be, belief is a fervent hope that the truth turns out to be what you think it is. To put it simply, a belief is an opinion, while faith is an attitude. We develop beliefs throughout our lives that we try to cling to, waiting for the world to validate them. If something doesn't fit into your limited perspective of belief, many of us don't even consider it. These beliefs may be true to your experience, but have you questioned whether these beliefs are holding you back from a genuine path? When you start to cultivate faith, you begin to open your mind up to the possibilities of life. Holding on to the same beliefs can create a one-track mindset, where cultivating faith can open you up to prospects that you were never even aware of before. As Alan Watts said, you're under no obligation to be the person that you were 5 minutes ago. Personal transformation is possible when we let go of limiting beliefs and learn to have an undying faith in our own capacity for change. Self-faith is not an ego-driven desire, but rather about trusting in the deeper, authentic self that exists beyond. You will find that when you develop faith in yourself, you start to have faith in the world around you, and you attract experiences that reflect this change in attitude. And you will start to awaken to another habit that is damaging your flow of life. This is the view that you are separate from the world around you. Seeing yourself as separate from the grand tapestry of life is like viewing the bee as separate from the hive. Each and every bee makes up the hive itself, as though it is one grand consciousness. Think of every person as one aspect of a single giant consciousness. Every interaction you have with other people is as though the single consciousness is finding different ways to experience the beauty of life. There are 2 quotes that emphasize this point. The first is from the poet Rumi. He says that, "You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop." The entire universe is reflected within you, and you reflect this back to the world. If you look closely enough, you will find God in each and every person you speak to. The next quote from Watts shows his lighthearted approach to philosophy, but truly emphasizes that we are all part of an interconnected structure, like an infinite kaleidoscope that would not be as beautiful without every part holding it up. Look, here is a tree in the garden, and every summer it produces apples. And we call it an apple tree because the tree apples. That's what it does. All right, now here is a solar system inside a galaxy. And one of the peculiarities of this solar system is that, at least on the planet Earth, the thing peoples. In just the same way that an apple tree apples, the Earth peoples. We all grow from the same place, and it is only identification that separates us. We identify with certain religions, beliefs, and ways of living. While many of these can be positive, they create a sense of separation in all of us. And this is our final habit that can damage the flow of your life. Alan Watts viewed identification as one of the biggest sources of suffering. Identification with one's thoughts, desires, emotions, and ego detracts from the limitless essence of the soul and the universe around you. We are taught to identify and dissect everything in the world, but this only creates a border between ourselves and the rest of this grand tapestry surrounding us. Once you learn to transcend identification with the ego, you will begin to experience the cosmic consciousness that underlies all of reality. Did you enjoy this video? If you did, keep an eye out for the next one in the series. Now that you know which daily habits to let go of, the next video will focus on new ways to master the reality of your dreams, according to Alan Watts.